The Constitution provides for freedom of religion and for the principle of separation of church and state. However, the government continued to restrict these rights in practice. The government permits the operation of what it considers mainstream religious groups, including approved Muslim groups, Jewish groups, the Russian Orthodox Church, and various other Christian denominations, such as Roman Catholics, Lutherans, and Baptists. Uzbek society generally tolerates Christian churches as long as they do not attempt to win converts among ethnic Uzbeks. The law prohibits or severely restricts activities such as proselytizing, importing and disseminating religious literature, and offering private religious instruction. The status of religious freedom remained restricted, with a specific decline for some Pentecostal and other Christian groups during the period of this report. A number of minority religious groups, including congregations of some Christian denominations, continued to operate without registration because they had not satisfied the strict registration requirements set out by the law. As in previous periods, Protestant groups with ethnic Uzbek members reported operating in a climate of harassment and fear. Using new criminal statutes enacted in 2006, the government brought criminal charges against two pastors. One was sentenced to 4 years in a labor camp, the other received a suspended sentence and probation. Law enforcement officials raided and harassed some unregistered groups, detaining and fining the leaders and members. The government continued its campaign against unauthorized Islamic groups suspected of extremist sentiments or activities, arresting numerous alleged members of these groups and sentencing them to lengthy jail terms. Many of these were suspected members of Hizb-ut-Tahrir, a banned extremist Islamic political movement, the banned Islamic group Akramiyya, or unspecified Wahhabi groups. The government generally did not interfere with worshippers attending sanctioned mosques and granted approvals for new Islamic print or audio and video materials. A small number of underground mosques operated under the close scrutiny of religious authorities and the security services. Religious groups enjoyed generally tolerant relations. However, neighbors, family, and employers often continued to pressure ethnic Uzbek Christians, especially recent converts and residents of smaller communities. There were several reports of sermons against missionaries and persons who converted from Islam. A Pentecostal deacon was severely beaten after his church was prominently featured in a documentary on state television directed against Christian evangelicals. Unlike in previous periods, there was only one report of individuals being charged with the distribution of HT leaflets, which often contain strong anti-Semitic rhetoric. During the period of this report, religious demography. The country has an area of 172,742 square miles and an estimated population of 27.8 million. International experts believe the population has sustained a loss of 2 to 3 million in recent years due to the growing trend of labor migration from Uzbekistan to neighboring countries, Russia, South Korea, and the Middle East. Approximately 80% of the population is ethnic Uzbek, 5.5% Russian, 5% Tajik, 3% Kazakh, 2.5% Karakalpak, and 1.5% Tatar. There are no official statistics on membership in various religious groups. However, it is estimated that up to 90% of the population is nominally Sunni Muslim, of the Hanafi school. Shia Muslims, who are concentrated in the provinces of Bukhara and Samarkand, constitute an estimated 1% of the population. Approximately 5% of the population is Russian Orthodox, a percentage that declines as the number of ethnic Russians and other Slavs continue to emigrate. A growing number of Muslims and Russian Orthodox adherents actively practice the religion. Outside of Tashkent, practicing Muslims are now in the majority. During the period covered by this report, mosque attendance noticeably increased, particularly among younger men, who tend to constitute the majority of worshippers. The remaining 3% of the population includes small communities of Roman Catholics, Korean Christians, Baptists, Lutherans, Seventh-day Adventists, Evangelical and Pentecostal Christians, Jehovah's Witnesses, Zoroastrians, Buddhists, Baha'is, and Hare Krishnas, as well as atheists. In addition, an estimated 15,000 to 20,000 Ashkenazi and Bukharan Jews remain in the country, concentrated in the cities of Tashkent, Bukhara, and Samarkand. At least 80,000 others have emigrated to Israel and the United States over the past 2 decades.